The story begins with a boy named Will Stunter. His school was on Christmas break, but Will was not very interested in celebrating Christmas with his large family. As he left school, he noticed a beautiful girl wearing a red scarf. Will fell in love with her at first sight. He managed to get onto the bus, and soon the girl boarded as well. Will's brothers started making fun of him because of his shy nature, as he kept to himself and had no friends. His younger sister Gwen told him to go and talk to her before she got off the bus. Unfortunately, the girl got off at the next stop and left her scarf behind. Will picked it up, but before he could return it, the bus started moving. Will and his siblings were on their way home when suddenly a man named Leon stopped them. Leon worked for the town's royal mistress, Miss Graython. He invited Will and his family to a Christmas party at the royal palace. When Will arrived home, he saw that his older brother Max had also returned for the holidays. Max had taken over Will's room, so Will had to sleep in the storeroom. In total, Will had 5 older brothers and 1 younger sister. Will's father John had a lively personality. He had recently gotten a job as a lecturer in the city, which is why the family had moved there. His mother was a housewife who loved her big family. That night, while they were having dinner, John asked Max about his graduation plans. Max replied that he was still thinking about it. After that, all the brothers at the table started teasing Will because he had not been able to talk to the girl on the bus. The next day, 2 farmers named Dawson and George brought a Christmas tree for Will. They were happy to see him and wished him a happy birthday. They also mentioned that a storm would arrive that night, even though the sky was clear. Later, Will's family gave him many gifts. Most of the gifts were not very useful, but Gwen was especially excited about her present for Will. She was the only one who had chosen something thoughtfully. When Will opened the box, he found a beautiful watch inside. Gwen tied the watch onto his wrist and asked him to make a wish. Will wished that it would snow there as well. That night, when Will woke up, he saw that it had started snowing, which made him very happy. Because of the intense cold, he had to close the windows. Suddenly, his hands became incredibly strong, and even a gentle touch almost broke the windows. The next day, Will was at the bus stop when he noticed many crows sitting on a nearby tree. Soon the bus arrived and Will got on and went to the mall. He had gone there to buy a Christmas gift for Gwen. After looking around, he found a beautiful pendant and bought it for her. Just as Will was about to leave the mall, 2 policemen suddenly stopped him. They accused him of stealing the pendant and took him away for questioning. When Will entered the room, he sensed that something was not right. The lights kept flickering on and off, and the police officers' appearances kept changing. They questioned him about a mysterious sign, but Will had no idea what they were talking about. Suddenly, their true forms were revealed, and they tried to attack him. However, Will easily pushed them back and realized his strength for the first time. Both of them chased him with full force, but he managed to escape. He still could not understand what was happening or why they were after him. Will tried to tell his father that something strange was happening to him, but his father and the rest of the family ignored him. Later that evening, Will and his family arrived at the royal palace for a Christmas party. The same 2 farmers approached him again and asked if he was enjoying himself. At that moment, Will noticed the girl from the bus. Before he could approach her, James stepped in and started talking to her. Seeing this made Will angry, and he took his coat and left the party. Meanwhile, Leon and Miss Graython were discussing whether they should reveal the truth about his destiny. Will was walking alone in the forest when suddenly a man on horseback, along with his dogs, began chasing him. Will ran as fast as he could, but the horse quickly caught up to him. The rider also asked him about the sign, but Will did not understand what he meant. Just then, Leon and Miss Graython arrived and told the rider to leave Will alone. The rider began to leave, but before going, he warned that in a few days Will's powers would fully return, and when he came back, no one would survive. Will stood there in shock as Leon and the others approached him. They then used magic to send him back in time to an ancient world. They explained that he was once a warrior who protected the light of the world. Long ago, in a place called the Great Hall, a battle between light and darkness took place. Although the light had won, the darkness could not be completely destroyed. Now, to end the darkness forever, Will must find 6 magical signs and use them to defeat the evil forces. They told him that his full powers awakened on his birthday, and that he must have started noticing the signs since then. As Will's powers began to grow, others could sense them too, including the rider who wanted to kill him. Still confused, Will questioned why he had gained these powers. Leon explained that, according to ancient legends, Will was a seeker, the 7th son of a 7th son. They possessed an ancient book called the Book of Grammar, which explained how to identify the signs, and only Will could read it. Will laughed at this and said it was impossible. He explained that he only had 5 older brothers, and was actually the 6th son, not the 7th. He insisted that they had chosen the wrong person. Will tried to walk away, but Leon and his companions told him that he could not escape his destiny. At that moment, Will saw a vision of the future where darkness had taken over the entire world. He panicked and suddenly found himself on a road, moments away from a terrible accident. Somehow, he managed to return home and began searching for answers. He then asked his father, a physics professor, whether light could defeat darkness. John replied, asking why he was thinking about such deep questions, and told him to enjoy his age instead. Later, Will was in the storeroom when he opened a drawer, slipped, and injured his leg. Mary called a doctor to treat him. Will was about to take a drink, but when he heard the doctor's voice, he realized something was wrong. The doctor was actually the same rider who had chased him earlier with his dogs. The man sent Mary out of the room to get supplies so he could speak to Will alone. As soon as he touched Will's leg, it healed instantly. He told Will that if he revealed the location of the sign, he could grant him anything he wanted. Then, using his powers, he caused Will intense pain and threatened him. He warned that if Will met the ancient warriors, he would kill him and his entire family. When Mary returned, the man acted normal again and said it would take a few days for Will to recover before leaving. After this, Will went back to the storeroom and found a picture of two twins. He took it to his mother and asked about it. Mary revealed that Will had a twin brother named Tom. When they were just 2 weeks old, a sudden storm struck, causing both babies to cry. Mary picked up Will and went downstairs, asking John to bring Tom. John was busy with his work and came a minute later, but Tom had disappeared. They searched everywhere, but Tom was never found again. The incident left John deeply shocked, and he fell into depression, abandoning his work. After hearing this, Will realized that a great danger was approaching the world. He decided to seek help from the ancient warriors and join them. He studied an ancient book and discovered that he possessed several powers. He could recognize magical signs, move objects with his mind, travel through time, and had immense strength. He could even produce fire from his hands. However, Will wished he could fly like Superman, but he did not have that ability, which disappointed him. Leon then began training him to control his powers. During this time, Will realized that the first sign was hidden in the pendant he had given to Gwen. Soon after, he discovered a second sign, but to retrieve it, he had to travel back in time with the other warriors. When they arrived in the past, an old woman suddenly attacked them using poisonous snakes that trapped them. Will used his strength to break free and successfully recovered the second sign. With it, he returned safely to the church along with his team. After speaking with Leon, Will learned that he had an ancestor named Thomas who had created this magical knowledge. Leon explained that no one had ever found the sixth sign because it had never been hidden. However, he also said that since Will belonged to that bloodline, he might be the one who could find it. Later that night, the rider met a mysterious man. He told him that his dark powers were growing stronger with each passing day. At the same time, Will had already obtained 2 signs, which meant his own powers were increasing as well. The rider asked the man to bring him all the signs and promised him a reward. Meanwhile, Will was having dinner with his family when James arrived. He had brought Maggie with him, the same girl Will had admired for a long time. Will felt heartbroken when he realized that they were together. After some time, Maggie approached Will and revealed that she also had special abilities. She showed him a sign made from grains of salt. Later, after dinner, Will demonstrated some of his powers to Maggie. He then asked her why she was with James and whether she was also part of the group of ancient warriors. Maggie replied that he should not focus on such small matters and instead prepare for his mission. She explained that she was not a warrior, but had come only to protect him. Gathering courage, Will confessed his feelings to her. He told her that ever since he first saw her, he had felt drawn to her and could not stop thinking about her. Just then, James arrived and asked what they were doing. Maggie replied that she was simply waiting for him while talking to Will. After Maggie left, Will became very upset and went to speak with Leon. Will said that he did not think he could protect the world and admitted that he could not even talk to girls properly. Leon reminded him that he was a seeker and capable of achieving anything. He also told Will that he had plenty of time in life for relationships and should focus on his purpose for now. He warned that if Will failed, the world could be lost. Will left in anger and began driving recklessly, causing nearby trees to catch fire due to his uncontrolled powers. When Miss Graython saw this, she scolded Leon for being too harsh and reminded him that Will was still just a boy. Soon after, Gwen followed Will to the royal palace. She asked him if he was okay, and Will assured her that everything was fine. At that moment, he noticed the clouds in the sky and realized he was close to finding the third sign. He took Gwen's hand and traveled back in time to a village where a battle was taking place. While escaping from soldiers, Will noticed a sign hidden inside a shield. He chased the soldier carrying the shield along with Gwen and eventually reached a boat. Will grabbed the shield, but suddenly a large man caught him. The man lifted Will and threw him into the water. Just as the man was about to attack him, he noticed Will's watch. Instead of continuing the fight, the man demanded the watch. Will agreed and gave up the watch in exchange for the shield. Soon, Will obtained the third sign as well. After that, he returned home from the past along with Gwen. Will warned Gwen not to tell anyone about what had happened. Leon scolded Will for using his powers carelessly. He told him to save his strength for the coming war. Later, Leon apologized for being harsh and promised to protect Will from then on. When Will reached home, he saw Max waiting for him. Max said he would be staying for a few more weeks, but Will ignored him. Suddenly, Max grabbed Will by the collar and started speaking in a strange voice. At that moment, Max was under the control of the rider. Just then, Will sensed the presence of the fourth sign. He traveled back in time along with Max and arrived at another place. There, Max attacked Will and threatened to kill him while demanding information about the signs. Will tried tried to reason with him and revealed that he knew Max had dropped out of college after failing his exams. He assured Max that the family would not judge him and encouraged him to face his fears so the writer could not control him. When this failed, Will knocked Max unconscious with a single punch. He then retrieved the fourth sign and returned to the present with Max. Later, when Max regained consciousness, Will told him that he had simply fainted. The next morning, a severe blizzard covered the entire city, disrupting traffic, water, and electricity. Miss Graython invited John and his entire family to stay at the royal palace for their safety. At the same time, it was revealed that Maggie was secretly working with the writer. She was a witch, helping him gain the power to stay young forever. The writer told Maggie that Will had already collected 4 signs and ordered her to steal them as soon as possible. Leon instructed Will to meet him in the Great Hall after finding the 5th sign, but Will still seemed uncertain. He was confused because even if he found the 5th sign, he still did not know anything about the 6th one. Leon, however, remained confident that Will would defeat the writer and save the world from darkness. Soon after, Maggie met Will at the royal palace and demanded the signs. Will was about to hand them over, but suddenly he sensed the 5th sign nearby. Risking his life, he managed to obtain it. After that, he refused to give Maggie any of the signs. Since Maggie failed to get the signs, the writer broke his promise. As a result, Maggie suddenly turned into an old woman and drowned in the river. Meanwhile, the writer's powers grew even stronger, causing chaos across the city. At the same time, Will arrived at the Great Hall with the other warriors. There was a rule that the writer could not enter unless he was invited inside. Suddenly, they heard Will's father's voice from outside, asking them to open the door. The warriors stopped Will from opening it, but then Gwen's voice was heard, saying that one of their brothers was badly injured. Then they heard Mary's voice calling for help. Overcome with emotion, Will immediately opened the door. In reality, it was the writer deceiving him by mimicking the voices of his family. As soon as the writer entered, his dark energy began to consume all the light. The ancient warriors tried to fight him, but he had become far too powerful. He quickly defeated them and cast them into darkness. Now Will was left to face him alone. The writer attacked Will and questioned where his family and friends had been during his hardest moments. He mocked Will, saying that he was just a child and could never save the world. Then, the writer revealed a magical orb that contained Will's twin brother, Tom. It was revealed that he had kidnapped Tom years ago, believing him to be the Seeker. The writer then threw the orb into the waters of the Great Hall. Will desperately tried to find his brother, but everything was surrounded by darkness. Finally, the writer pushed Will into a dark cloud and left the Great Hall. He set out to spread darkness across the world. Inside the darkness, Will began to remember the truth about the 6th sign. He realized that it was never hidden because it was within him all along. Will understood that he himself was the final sign. At that moment, all of his powers awakened together, making him strong enough to resist the writer's darkness. Will emerged from the Great Hall holding the magical orb. Using his powers, he trapped the writer and his darkness inside it. He then cast the orb into a river, sealing the darkness away. As this happened, light returned, and the entire city was restored. Will's twin brother, Tom, was finally freed. After years of separation, the two brothers were reunited. He expressed his wish to return home. The warriors allowed him to go, as his mission was now complete. In the end, Will and Tom returned home, and their family celebrated Tom's return with joy.